thank you all. It's really a privilege and an honor to be here. And can we please give one more applause and applause? It's difficult to come back and speak when they're talking about population level scale. But what I wanted to do today was, talk to each and every one of you, whether you're an entrepreneur or not an entrepreneur, but especially if you're an entrepreneur, on how do you succeed, right? And I wanted to talk about how do you become Sachin Tendulkar or Tiger Woods or LeBron James of whatever field that you have chosen for yourself. And what I mean by that is how do you become the top 50 in your field in the world? And so, everybody wants to be good, but then the question is, what is the difference between the good and great? There are enough books around good to great. We talk about businesses becoming this thing, but what about our self journey, right? So I want to spend a few minutes today, and not hopefully take too long, but talk to you about how do you go from becoming just a good in whatever you're doing to becoming the top 50 or the top 100 in the world, right? And basically come to you and share with you my own perspective. So, look, first and foremost, no man is an island. Nothing that you do is especially going to happen by yourself. So you need a team. For me, first and foremost, I needed a partner. And by the way, the whole money that we are putting through, today I was actually very embarrassed as well because it kept saying Sunil Bhatia. But the funds which are coming are really coming from Rita and Sunil Bhatia, so that's first and foremost. And without your partner, nothing good happens in life. So the first thing that you need to solve for yourself is do you have a support of a good partner and your loved ones, right? And that is your responsibility to solve, right? So for me, having mom here, having, Vinod, my own brother, and my Bhabhi here, and, they were around for me when I used to come to India and spend, I used to be based in the US, but I was a publicly listed company CEO here, and I used to travel about 300 days in a year. Now, when you travel 250, 300 days in an airplane, you really need an ecosystem which help you, and without that ecosystem, it's not going to happen, right? So first and foremost, you need to, if you're going to become from good to great, you need to have a team around you which is going to ensure that you don't fall back. So that was the first learning for me. My second learning, and this is very important, everybody talks about IQ, EQ, and for me, EQ is a question about how do you go and manage yourself. And by that I mean, all of us have a finite level of energy. So, when you're 50 years old, let's assume you have 100 units of energy. When you're 21 years old, let's assume you have 200 units of energy. And when you become 80 years old, let's say you have 25 units of energy. Your job is to ensure that, your energy levels is the highest within whichever cohort you are in. So if you're 50 years old, if everybody else is 100 units, your job is to ensure that you get 125 units of energy. And the second part of that is don't waste your energy. Now, not wasting your self-energy is a very hard part. When I look at around all my friends and if I look at all the people that I work with, my whole point to most of them is don't waste your energy. And how do you waste your energy? You waste your energy by doing things which are not supposed to do, unproductive stuff. But everybody understands that. But if you think negatively about things, or you think negatively about people, or you think small about somebody else, you will waste your energy. So my challenge to you is to think through, you do your own energy audit. And it's very important. Remember, we're trying to talk about difference between the best and the best. Everybody, if I look at, for example, golfers, right? The top 100 golfers, the difference between the skill is, you can't even make it out. The difference between a Sachin Tendulkar and the next top 100 batsmen in the world by themselves is not that much, but it's the mind and what do they do about it that makes a difference. So not wasting your energy is a very, very important component. And it's a long chapter on how do you manage self and how do you do this thing. Today is not a discussion, but I just want to lay out a framework for you to think through and maybe go back and reflect on yourself by doing your own energy audit and seeing, are you using your energy wisely or are you wasting your energy in some form? You won't even realize that you're wasting your energy, right? So that's my second point for you to think through. My third point is, and I genuinely believe this, your thoughts define who you are. You will become as you think. So if you think small, you will become small. Right? The question is, can you really think big? Can you think big? Can you think bold? Can you think fast? Can you imagine yourself in a very, very different scale, especially for entrepreneurs who are now trying to launch something? Try and visualize as big and as bold and as far as you can, right? And obviously, there's this saying, right? Happy are those who dream dreams and are ready to pay the price to make them come true, right? So today you see me standing here, very successful, all very nice in this thing, but as they say in Hindi, right? बहुत पापड़ बेलने पड़ते हैं यार, right? So you have to do that, right? And the second part of this thing is the thought is, again, for those of you who understand Hindi, खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना कि खुदा भी बंदे से पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. So that it all starts with your mind, right? So you have to start thinking. When we started, the journey that we started, and I'm going to say Rita and I was running 11 countries for IBM, right? Now to leave all of that, running 11 countries and getting paid handsomely in Singapore, right? We had a house of our own, which is worth at that point of time $5 million. We have a house, we had some money in the bank, I'm a big executive. Now to leave all of that and say, nahi yaar, kuch karna hai life mein, right? Leave all of that and then go and say, I'll go to Palo Alto, because that's where it'll happen. I couldn't do it out of Singapore. I tried to do it in India. I just couldn't. And hopefully, the future entrepreneurs, this will all help to future entrepreneurs. But the point was that we sat down and we thought about it and we said, okay, we'll leave the clutches of everything that we have as a security and then go and do something which is completely different. So the whole, again, it starts with your mind, and you thought that you will become successful. And, and when we went there, and life was hard, right? I went on 1/3 of my salary of IBM, and I joined this company called Satyam, and ran a large business. In first year, Satyam blew up in my face. And instead of running away, Rita and I said, look, we have enough money of our own. We will stay in Satyam and help people who are there. And then I joined Accenture, finished that, and then came and did the whole entrepreneurial journey from there, right? But the point is, you have to visualize and you have to think. If you don't do that, nothing good will happen to you, right? My fourth point is, be a learning machine in a machine learning age. Machines are learning. You better learn yourself as well, right? You really, really need to be. Now the question is, when you say you have to be a learning machine, what does it mean? So the learning machine means, at any point of time, all of us have multiple desires, right? Remember, I'm trying to give you a framework which has worked for me. It may or may not work for you, but I'm just trying to share my perspective on the subject from becoming good to great yourself, right? So learning machine means, all of us have 50 desires, right? I mean, I'm, in my own head, yes, so I've solved for money now, right? Fine, so money is being solved, great. Now I'm trying to solve for, how can I come and help the future entrepreneurs to become good, better, at best at what they can do, right? Rita and I are trying to solve for, how can education make an impact in the world, right? We're also trying to solve for, how do we get old people in the world to acclimatize better, especially old people who are being not digitally savvy. How can now we get technology to get the old people to use technology so that they can become more relevant, right? Because health spans are increasing. No more 70 is old. People are going to live till 80, 85, 90. But if you get technologically led behind, then we are both trying to sit down and say, okay, how do we now help them? So everybody has multiple desires, right? So that's the point I'm trying to make now. When you want to become a learning machine, today we are trying to learn to see, can artificial intelligence help? So one of my things my pet projects currently I'm researching on is, can I now use technology, especially AI, and hopefully Pramod and Sujit and always at some point help me. Can I now come to India or Africa or wherever else it is? There are millions of people who are probably on their phone or on the iPad or access to a computer, whatever it is, can I now use that labor, using AI and everything else, to come and help solve the world's problem? And for profit. And therefore, then the money can go back, all the way back to them. So I was very, very excited when I saw what they're doing and what India has achieved. So but now to be a learning machine, all my reading and everything else I'm doing is to try and solve these multiple desires that I have, whether it's a desire around the health, whether it's a desire to create something else, or is a desire to come and help the entrepreneurs, whatever it is, right? So if you want to become a little different than everybody else, or you want to be in the top 50, again you have to be the the learning machine. And my last point, and my most important learning, when my daughter was turning 21, I wrote a book, from father's life lessons to your daughter. And I'm not sure how much the book helped her. It probably helped her a little bit, but it helped me a lot. What it did for me is help me to codify points about my own life, reflect on it and codify it in a way in which to say, okay, what does it take to succeed? And frankly, in the last 7-8 years, a lot of that learning which I did at that particular point in time helped me to become a lot more successful today than it did for them. Right? So one of the things which came out for me is this formula, and I use this formula quite a bit. So the formula is called 2H, 4E, and 2P. So what does the 2H mean? So the first H is you have to be happy. So, and happy in the sense you have to be happy from inside, right? If you are not happy from inside, if you're not happy with yourself, very, very difficult to really succeed is my view. Dukhi atma bahut dur nahi jati hai yaar. Right? So you have to be happy from inside, very, very important in everything. Now everybody has, dukh in life, everybody has dark days, this, that, whatever it is, right? So, but we try and figure out what is it that makes you happy from inside and become happiness into your core, right? So that's my first thing. My second H is honesty. If you're not an honest person, in my view, you die inside every day, right? Kapat karoge, chori karoge, chota ka chota hi rehne wala hai, right? Forget, and by I don't mean that you're going to become, you may make some money, don't get me wrong, there are enough corrupt people who will make some money, right? But I don't know how long you will last from that perspective and how long it will go, right? So to me, the 2 H's, you have to be happy from your core and you have to be honest, right? Again, this is the formula which works for me, may or may not work for you, right? What is the 4E? My first E is you have to have energy. Remember I talked about energy audit, managing health, but having your own energy is very important, right? Now, all of us, whether we know it or not, we transfer energy to each other. We are all energy, right? We all we have trillions of cells which are vibrating. That's what the human body is about. Science has now proven that we are energy. When we die, nothing happens. The form of energy transforms. We understand all that. Basic physics, everybody gets it, I'm sure, right? So if you are all energy, then the question is, can you maintain your energy levels at a very, very high peak, right? And that is, again, the difference between the good and the great. So that's my first E is have a high energy. Second is, okay, you have energy, yeah, great, but can you energize others? We're in SPJIMR, professors usually come and teach. They are usually happy people, honest people, they have high energy and they energize their students, right? So in whatever field you are in, whether you're a leader, you're this thing, whoever is around you, can you energize others or not, right? That's a very important part of that second energy, right? The third part is of E is, are you a master in something? Do you have an edge, right? So you can have all the energy in the world, but if you don't have a mastery in anything, thoda problem hai yaar, right? So the learning machine is a very important part of making sure that you have an edge in something. Doesn't matter what that edge is in, but in something you have to be the best that you can be at, right? And the fourth is, can you execute? Manoj talked about it took him 4-6 months to come and execute something like that. That's phenomenal, world-class standard here, to execute in that short a time. That's fantastic success, right? Now, can you execute? So that's your 4 E's, right? Energy, yourself, energize others, edge, and having the ability to execute on that promise. My 2 P's are, and the 2 P's is as follows, right? First is you have to be passionate, especially if you are becoming an entrepreneur. If you are not passionate about it, ठंडा है, ढीला है, अभी मत करे यार. Don't waste your time, don't waste your energy, नहीं होने वाला है, right? These journeys are extremely hard journeys. There are a lot more dark days than good days. And if you don't have a passion, problem hai. So have a passion into something else, right? And especially if you want to become Sachin Tendulkar of your sport, you better be passionate, yeah. That guy used to practice 1000 hours, yeah. Right? He used to put that, everybody knows that string, right? He used to put a string and take a ball and he used to keep batting in the night, right? Same thing with Tiger Woods. When he was 2 years old, he used to put tapes in his head and listen to Jack Nicklaus talk and then sleep. So these are hard things. You have to be passionate about whatever you're doing, right? And my last is on P, is about perseverance. If you cannot persevere, you're going to fall down 100 times. You have to learn to persevere, right? If you do not persevere, you'll have a challenge. So the 2 H's again, happy, be honest, have all the energy in the world, learn to give energy to others, have an edge, execute, passionate and perseverance. Hopefully, these are things which I found. I'll just quote with, I heard something, now let me see if I can fully remember that. It's a Hindi quote somebody told me, but I thought it was beautiful and probably relates to the happiness. It said, what was the point? हर जज्बात को अल्फाज नहीं मिलते, हर जज्बात को अल्फाज नहीं मिलते, हर ख्वाहिशों को दुआ नहीं मिलती, हर ख्वाहिशों को दुआ नहीं मिलती, हंस ले मेरे दोस्त तो दुनिया तेरे साथ है, वरना आंसुओं को भी आंखों में पनाह नहीं मिलती.